All right, so when did this coffee guy become a thing? When did this happen?
Don't lose your soul, busy changing up. Don't do a thing without praying some. Don't lose your soul, busy changing up. Don't do a thing without praying some. Is anger and lust really demons? I hope so. For the sake of my brain, I need something to blame, cause I'm in pain. Or am I a heathen, rotten, ambitious and grieving? Jeff keep pointing at Jesus, but goddamn all this bleeding, my heart is cut into pieces. Too many people to trust, two is too many, they likely to harbor their semen and die.
All right.
For the first episode of Over Coffee, I thought it was only, right to have someone like yourself, Lauren Pearce, a phenomenal artist.
Thank you.
Right? Someone who I know personally, who, I think we've had some very incredible and insightful conversations.
Yeah.
And I just felt that it would do a disservice for others not to have an opportunity to at least see what that looked like and what this dialogue, this honest, direct, creative conversation might look like. I guess I'll just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
If that's okay with you.
Yes.
So I want to start with identity and perspective.
Yeah.
So how has moving through life as a biracial woman shaped how you see contrast, balance, or duality through art?
That's a very, not loaded question, but it's full.
Mm-hmm.
And it's complicated because I think at various stages of my life, it has meant different things. And my comfortability with my identity has changed over time. I would say the older that I've gotten, the more accepted I've been about myself. It's complicated because not only am I biracial, but I do identify as a Black woman. We do know that colorism is very much, it's very overt in our society. And because I do paint Black people.
Right,
and
right.
The fluctuation of melanin and whether it's dark skin or light skin is super important to me because, for one, because I'm biracial, I can't just paint darker skinned people.
Yeah.
There are people that are darker skinned that are artists, that is their story to tell.
Yes.
But I do think because I come from a family that is incredibly diverse, especially within my more melanated side, to highlight those places. I think the conversation about being biracial, for me, it felt more important. It feels less important now. And more of the conversation is how can I highlight the people that I most resemble? Because I'm no longer trying to prove anything and where my place is within the space of my Black family and also my white side of my family. There's microaggressions that I've encountered within my white side that definitely played a role with my identity. And I think it's less to do with being biracial and more to do with my autism. And something that I actually had an epiphany about more recently was that as I hit puberty, I became very vocal and in ways that I was told that I had behavioral stuff, anger issues, an attitude was always considered spicy, but I think most of that had to do with my autism.
Okay.
But it was directed at my Blackness from people that were supposed to protect me and value my identity, that I think, in order to mask, I centered whiteness in my life. So there was a period of time where I think I presented a certain way because I thought that was what was more appropriate, and realizing that it was just anti-Blackness and also ableism. So that's kind of,
It's a lot there.
Yeah, it's a lot there.
Now, so to kind of, I guess, go work backwards,
Yeah.
right? When you paint people, these are choices. Right?
Yeah.
These are very intentional decisions.
Yes.
And I think let's just use an example of superheroes or characters that we see on TV or in art or marketing.
Yeah.
These are choices, right? And what are we trying to say with these decisions and these choices?
Oh, I made choices.
Right? So you've made a lot of decisions and intentional, very purposeful designs in your art. And I think as an artist, let me ask rather, do you feel you have to defend those decisions?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
I honestly don't care.
Okay.
Because it's my choice. I think I've had people, usually white people, ask me why I don't paint white people. And if you have to ask me that, like I don't feel like it's even something that I need to explain. Especially in the place that we live in, I feel like, for one, I mostly resemble my dad's side of the family. And the way that I've moved through society and the way that society has viewed me has been, this is where your place is, Lauren. It's not a disregard for my mother's side of the family, because also, like, my children are white passing. Mm-hmm. And it's not to diminish or undervalue or negate experiences, but it really is highlighting my own experience, mm-hmm. and my experience has been more so Black than white.
And so your dad is Black, your mother is white.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm first generation American. My father is an immigrant. He's Jamaican. Like, so that adds also, for me, value. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm so grateful to come from the family that I come from. And I do think that seeps into my work. I think color and vibrancy, and I think especially with this current series, it feels more ritualistic, which feels more connected to my father's side than anything. So it's not about like disregarding anything. Like, I don't feel like I need to overcompensate in any way.
Right.
I feel too comfortable in myself to do that.
Yeah. So what I hear you saying is you're doing what's natural.
Yes.
To you.
Yes.
And I think none of us should have to defend what just comes natural to us, right? I think you have done the work in terms of like therapy, for instance. You know, we've discussed that, to know why you do it versus just doing it and not really being able to explain it.
I have language behind the choices that I'm making now.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. So let me ask you, at what point did you realize, you know, and I guess I'm asking this question for my daughters, right? Yeah. At what point did you realize there was a difference, like, between Oma and Nana, right?
I mean, at a very early age. I mean, I do think there were differences in the way that I was treated by both sides. I think because there were things that I was protecting, or I thought I had to protect when it had to do with my mom, because she's my mom. And realizing that it was less of an attack, which was also the anti-Blackness that I needed to acknowledge in my own self, which I do think that we all need to, decentering whiteness, decolonizing, all of that stuff. And I think for me, like, that was so important because I am biracial, is walking back and thinking about the way that I was treated by both sides and why that was the way it was and how I was viewed in those ways. But from a very early age. I mean, I remember being called the N-word at 5. Like, for the first time. And like, so my experience has always been.
Is this by like reference to, as from a Black person, or
it was actually another biracial kid?
Okay.
And I'm like, I need y'all, as a collective group, we need to acknowledge our anti-Blackness. Like, it's there. And especially when, you know, there is those stereotypes, when the difference of who is Black and who is white in our parentage. I do think because we come out of this vessel of a person's body that has a uterus, and I think that there's correlation to that, and that can be another conversation. But I've always known that there was a difference. I think as I got older in puberty, again, like, being autistic, and I cannot separate the two between being a Black woman and being autistic, because the intersect of that and how I was consuming my lived experience and how that was being purged back outward. So I think that as I got older and needing to mask, because there was this confrontation specifically with my parents, but specifically with my mom, that I felt like I had to put on the things that she was, and she is a white woman. And like, that felt more acceptable. And there just also wasn't many conversations happening around our identity as a kid. Right. So I had to do a lot of the digging as I got older. And I think in my later 20s, there was way more comfortability within my own skin. And then also just like not centering myself in the conversation either, because we have to talk about colorism. And well, you know, with having 2 daughters and their different complexions, like, that is going to be an ongoing conversation. Right. And yeah.
That's a lot. So I think because you have the language, it is a lot there.
Yes.
Right? To go to the art piece.
Yeah.
You have sons.
Yeah, I do.
Who are fairly young. They're getting older, right?
Yeah, 17 and 16.
17 and 16. what do you want them to receive? Do you want them to receive anything from your art?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Teaching them being around all of this, I feel like it has been supernatural. I mean, the fact that we're like in show mode, like Dylan knows what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, from a very early age, I spent a lot of time, in their early age, I spent a lot of time doing nude work. And there were various different bodies,
That's intense.
naked bodies hanging in our house. But it's such a, for me, I think it's so much healthier to have conversations with our children and not expect them to understand things. And yes, everything in due time. But because I view my children as individuals and not just the thing that's a part of me or came from me, like I respect them as individuals, I want them to learn all the things that I'm also learning. So obviously, both boys being white presenting, which Dylan refers to himself as biracial, but I also feel like he has been raised by a majority of black women. That is just where he feels the most comfortable, even though he knows the like how he gets to move and the privilege he has in this world. But yeah, I mean, Dylan has come with me to so many openings, so many different shows, has just sewed stuff in the studio, has helped me ship stuff. I mean, Keegan, my first solo, highlighted autism and the fact that he at the time was nonverbal, and that was his language, was creating. So I feel like whether it's been me showing them the stuff and also is just who they also are. Like they're both incredibly creative, and I think there's so much to learn about the world through creation. And I feel like it's been a layered process in teaching my boys.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's I feel like a lot of conversation, but I will say, like, as a young man, just thinking through their perspective, like, I don't know how I would. I think this is what I'll say. In my experience, right, from growing up, not having the conversation but being exposed to certain things cause issues. Because then you don't have the language or you don't have the processing framework to say, okay, this is where this goes in my life. So then you just do whatever you can with that information. Right. So I was exposed to a lot very, very early. I grew up very, very fast. So I think to their advantage, you are kind of holding their hands through the situation. Like you said, they are individuals, but as they become men in this world, you know, how do you expect them to have these conversations?
I mean, I tell my eldest son all the time that if he does some shit, I will turn his ass in myself. Like, I'm serious though. I do think there is a level of hand-holding, right? Because I do think as millennial parents, I'm so grateful that we have access to things that our parents didn't have access to. I hold a lot of grace for my parents' generation. The access to therapy is way different now.
Absolutely.
We should be in therapy. Both my boys have done some form of therapy. It is essential, whether they have chaotic lives or not. I think it's important to have some kind of strong, healthy, neutral perspective that can help them also guide them and stuff. Also Dylan, the way he looks, but also both of his girlfriends have been black girls. And for me, as his mother, it is my job to make sure he is not an asshole and continuing to cause harm. But I do think being in spaces like this, where there's so much diversity, where they're meeting so many different kind of people, the perspective just naturally changes. I think it opens up their mind and their world. And I think we underestimate what they're able to consume and how they're able to process things. And I'm very direct in my language with my boys. I do not coddle them. I'm obviously not going to expose them to everything, but also we live in a time where there's atrocities happening all the time and they have access to that stuff. So I'd rather be straightforward and be like, this is what it is, let's talk about it. And the perspective is not always great. I mean, they're also still, you know, teenage boys, but we're going to address them and we're gonna like try to shift shit. But so yeah, there is a level of hand-holding, which I do think that a lot of us went without, but I don't think it's hand-holding. I just think it's being in conversation with your parents. Where there's still a level of respect, and I am this person that's supposed to take care of them, but I don't own them.
So I was just actually having this conversation about being a young black man, entrepreneur, creative, who I have many father figures.
Yeah.
I've had my pops and I've had my biological father, right? But I was, for the majority, very independent, doing a lot of things on my own. So when I took on my first endeavor to start a business, and then my second endeavor to start a business, there was a lot of me figuring things out.
Yeah.
I say I jumped out the window without a parachute.
Yeah.
I just was like, let's
Sometimes
do it.
it just be like that.
So with that being said, like with you, I think, you know, again, kind of the exposure, the guidance, the having the conversations is so necessary. But I just had this conversation where it's like, we do feel like we're alone a lot of the time in building and creating. And as creatives, it's a lonely thing anyway.
It is.
You know what I mean? So
but I don't think that's to be something that we're afraid of either.
But I think you only know not to be afraid when you have someone to say there's nothing to be afraid of. Like, you can do this. There's going to be scary moments.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
What do you mean?
Because I don't think I ever had anyone that told me not to be afraid. I think and I don't necessarily, like, what I know about you though, Austin, too, is that you have done things, I can't say fully by yourself, but I think that there's been a reconciliation with your responsibility to yourself that has propelled you forward. I think for me, I have had a certain level of support, but a lot of this has been seeking things on my own. And I think part of it is just like, I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing because I feel it in my body so heavily.
Maybe bravery is what I'm trying to say.
Bravery for sure.
Maybe that's, you know, I think I tell my kids every time they go to school, my girls at least, I say, you know, be brave, be bold.
Yes.
Right? Because like, to your point, it's not about the fact that you are scared or aren't scared, but it's about the fact that you know there's something that you need to do.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. Because I'm scared every day.
Yes.
Every day.
Yes. So, yeah, I wanted to reframe that because I think that's probably more accurate. Now, for you in the next step, I mean, you've been a lot of places and done a lot of art, and I've obviously followed you, you know, virtually and spiritually. I'm like, you know, praying.
Yes.
But like, what do you see coming for you next? And let me go back. What do you want people to take from this specific exhibit that you have?
I mean, so much is centered around nature, and so much of it is centered around my own autism journey. And obviously, the figures are Black people, and I don't think there's an emphasis on realism. I think that I paint our aura. I think there's more spirituality to it. I think it's more of the soul. But I really want people to feel ease and the peace that I'm gonna try really hard not to cry, that I have found in my time in nature, and how so much of that access has been limited to us because either when we don't feel safe or we have never been introduced to nature in that way, even though it is so much a part of our culture and our past. But the fact of like going somewhere where there's no one around and it's super silent, and which you know about my time in Arizona, I just really feel like I was completely stripped down and was able to rebuild. And I think that is what I want people to feel when they're in this show. The fact that the room is going to be filled with sand and we'll have have headphones that are going to have nature sounds in it. I want people to feel like they can reset, they can ground themselves, because I think nature is that superpower.
Yes.
Like more so than us in our will, it's like nature has a way of humbling us and lifting us up because it's not from us.
Yeah.
We do have control of it, but we also don't have control over it.
For sure.
And I find that to be really exhilarating. So I want people to feel at ease and to feel like they get to purge something here, but also to be comforted in this space.
I love that. And to your point, I think I wear it as a badge of honor, and I'm sure a lot of other young, say urban people, right, is that we from the concrete jungle. Yeah. Right? So I think we know that we want to get out, but you know, most of us have never went fishing or hunting and all that, right? And it's like, I would love to I want to own a farm, right? I want to go,
Same.
You know what I mean?
Same.
So I think like we know
it's in
intuitively,
us.
but we don't know how to get there a lot of times, you know? So I think if some of those individuals from my hood, from my street, from my neighborhood were here, I think they could certainly see that, right? But it's hard to see. It's hard to grasp that when you're not from it, you don't have people who are adjacent to it, right?
Yeah.
And like I've had to seek it out. I think the military provided that for me, a lot of it, where, and honestly, like my ex-wife was a white woman and they owned property in West Virginia. So we went to West Virginia and it was like middle of nowhere. Mind you,
I love it.
I was scared though.
I mean, sure.
I wasn't scared of the nature though. I was scared of white people.
Yes, people.
You know? Yeah.
But like, so I am definitely, speaking of nature and being safe, I definitely feel far less safe hiking on the East Coast.
Yeah.
White people just move very differently on this side. I mean, white people would be white people. But on the West Coast, I think because you also have a wide community of people that just like are avid hikers.
Yes.
So everyone kind of minds.
West Coast is different though.
It's very different. I go camping with, I've gone camping with just like 2 other women before and I feel perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I've gone camping with 1 other person and I felt perfectly fine. It's different, but we do need to be careful. I think that's why there's more collective of Black hikers and campers doing these giant meetups, which I love. I love. We deserve to take up space. We should take up space. We should go outside because it is part of who we are, and I feel like it is the best medicine.
Yes, absolutely.
It is the best medicine. But yeah, it's not always.
I mean, I think we're learning.
Yes.
As a community, I think we're learning.
Sure.
I would say I have a lot of older friends, a lot of older family members, and we're learning.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to say we're learning too late, but some people are learning later on in their lives.
As long as we're learning.
Yeah.
As long as we're learning.
For sure. Yeah, I agree with that. So now, this is what? Now let me. What is this called? What is this exhibit called?
Wake Me Where I Lay.
Why?
Because my time in Arizona, I felt like I was at a standstill. I felt I did have a moment in a show in Ghana where I had a very severe meltdown. I think we've talked briefly about that. That was really, really hard for me, but I'm also really grateful for that moment. And I think for me, I'm not religious in any regards, but I am spiritually based. And I genuinely believe that like that was my time where I was woken up and like, okay, this is you. Yeah. And this is who you've always been, but now you get to blossom and enjoy the person that you've been. So this just feels like a rebirth.
I mean, I love, it sounds like a really cool album. Like, it sounds like
Wake Me Where I Lay.
Snow Allegra, you know, like that would be an album like that. Anyway, so what happens after? Like in terms of art, right? Like, like you have the rollout, right? For like an album, like we're doing a rollout.
Yeah.
You do the rollout, then what?
Crash into my bed where I don't talk to anyone.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like because of the way that I've been moving lately, which is at a slower pace, it allows me to be more intentional. It allows me, I think because I'm also autistic, I need time to sit with the choices that I need to make moving forward in every part of my life. There are things that I want to do. I do think that our world makes it really difficult to plan for the future. So there's less of like, what am I gonna do in 5 years? Or what are my goals? It's more about just enjoying where I'm at the moment and really allowing the fruits of my labor to kind of like marinate a little bit. Marinate, and then wherever it's supposed to go and grow, then that's where I'm at. I think for a really long time, I had a bunch of different goals of what I wanted to achieve. And yeah, there's things for sure, but I think it's more about the community that I want to build around me. And this is the first show that everybody that's a part of the show is either Black or neurodivergent. Okay. From the gallery owner, the curation team, the install person is also autistic and has ADHD. Friend of mine that's reading her poem on Saturday, autistic and has ADHD. Like, so it feels really community based, and also where everybody's just so straightforward and it's so wonderful. It's so great. There's like no bullshit.
There's no mask.
There's like, no mask. And we're just all like really, there's a lot of grace going around and heavy on the communication. At least for me, like I want every single day that I have to interact with anyone, like, this is where I'm at today. Like I told you today, I'm feeling edgy and a little angry.
Yeah.
Like, so people know that, like, if I'm a little bit cold or distant or monotone, that it has nothing to do with you, and it's just where I'm at, so that I don't have to shift necessarily for anyone, and that the other person doesn't have to carry how I'm feeling and take it personally.
Right. I love that.
Thank
because you. I think, you know, as we talked about earlier, the difference between niceness and kindness.
Yeah.
I personally have, through my journey, I realized that, you know, I've dealt with a lot of politicians. I've dealt with a lot of like people wearing the mask for, let's say, wear the suit.
Yeah.
So that it fits the situation, they can get what they want out of the situation. Now, there's a double-edged sword there, because I think for me, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I've never really wanted to do it, but I was willing to do it.
Yeah.
At some point, like, okay, I need to get somewhere, so let me do it a little bit. Then I went through my life-changing situation, and I realized, like, no, I don't want to do it at all. I don't want no parts. I want honesty. I want real authenticity. I want people to be like genuinely involved. Like, whether, so there was I don't remember who wrote the poem, but it was like, don't go where you're invited, or something. I can't even remember.
Where you're celebrated, go where you're celebrated.
It's something like, you know, you go where you're welcome.
Okay.
Right. And it was like, I'd rather be alone than not welcome, right?
Listen.
So don't be nice to me and invite me as a pity invite, right? Like, I want to be places where people are going to celebrate me. I have to give you an example. I live in Harrisburg. I'm from Akron. After, you know, I got through my, you know, tumultuous situation, I came straight home. I went straight to Akron, literally, right out the gate.
Yeah.
And people celebrated me. They were waiting. They hugged me. They loved me. They cried with me. They prayed with me. They sent my mother and my brothers food, right?
That's amazing.
Now, I was very dug in Harrisburg.
Yeah.
I was out there. And,
yes,
and it was like no love. You know what I mean? I was just out there. So I'm certainly not saying that to bash anybody, but just the cold facts is that, you know, you really can see people in a true light when you go through your hell and they go through their hell. Who shows up?
Yeah.
All right. There's a gentleman who called me and I talk to every day.
That's
you know,
amazing.
There's people who I stay in touch with every week now, and we keep a good tempo and cadence. And I'm saying that because I think, to your point about this event that you're having, like having people who are going to show up, whether it's light or dark outside. Like, that's who I want to be around. Because I'm also that person. I'm gonna show up for you whether you ugly or beautiful, when you got
there's grace to give.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'll say this. I remember when I was training, I was late to an appointment, to a session, and I'm like texting him, I'm on my way. He's like, just get here. So I got there. I'm like, yo, I'm sorry, this ain't me. And he's like, well, it is you, and you'll be late again, and that's okay. And it was
I appreciate
so much grace.
Yeah. But it's also super direct and allows you to be a human being.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't have to fake.
Yeah.
I don't have to be like, oh, my kid was sleeping. No, it wasn't. I just overslept.
You don't have to posture. Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And then it changed how I interacted with people.
Yeah.
And I think this event is probably one of those moments where it's like, oh, I can show up.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
It feels good.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think that's really, I want the energy to just be really good, and so far it's been really good.
That's good.
There's been bumps, for sure.
Obviously.
Yeah, but that's life.
That is life. But I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited. I want to see what this looks like, this room here.
I know. I got to do that today.
Today. That's going to be awesome. Now, before we get off track, I got a couple more questions I want to ask you.
Okay.
All right. So, this is a good one. Do you feel like your art fills the gaps in which, like, communication falls short?
So I remember talking to my sister Erin one day about this, and that which, by the way, I love her. It is so wonderful to have another autistic person in your family that not just, there's a lot of undiagnosed people in my family.
For sure.
But to have someone that is fully accepted of their self, and to have that dialogue there. And she was like, Lauren, like literally where words fall short, your work is your language. Yeah. And I fully believe that 100%. Like, even if I was well, I'm not neurotypical, but like I do think even for neurotypical artists, like I do think that it is a form of communication. I do think though, for me, being someone that's autistic, there is just raw honesty that's there.
Yeah.
And like I told you guys earlier, which it sounds a little crazy, but there's conversations that happen when I'm working, whether it's with the piece itself or with myself, which I'm very grateful for. There's a lot of things that gets worked out between myself and the work in the studio that I'm dealing with in my personal life. So I feel like, yes, the art is my language, but it also is the thing that like can speak back out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
It does. I think, and this is something I was kind of thinking about, and I always kind of go to things that I'm most familiar with, right? So like music, for instance. You make something once and you communicate this idea or this thought or this situation, you communicate it into this and then you put it out in the world.
Yeah.
And once it's said, and it can kind of be consumed,
Yes.
you know, however people...
And it takes on many different things.
Correct. And I think this is also kind of in that space. Now, I will say the difference is, and I want to kind of, I'm curious, how does that work for you, right? Like, you have a piece, someone buys it, but maybe I put it in my house and no one ever sees it again.
I know. I mean, of course, like, I think for me, a couple things, because I'm super grateful for the diversity, more so economically, with my collectors, that there are collectors that save all of their money to buy some of my work, which for me, like, that is a really big deal.
It's a big deal,
and it makes me incredibly emotional. And there's people that have lots of money and buy it, but it's still super meaningful to them. I think for me, a goal, if I'm going to talk about goal, it would be more museum acquisitions, mostly because you have a wider range of visibility. I do love the idea of work living in someone's home. I'm also at this stage where like I get approval of every collector that buys my work now, because I do think that energy matters.
Yeah.
And I want to, it's not just transactional for me. It's not just about the money. Like, this is a part of my being. And I want this work to go in places where it's not just an investment.
Yeah.
It is something that is going to be valued. But with museums, I just feel like there's more kids that get to see stuff, and you know how I feel about the kids. And nurturing those dreams and being able to see this kind of work in those spaces is really necessary. That just like being in collectors' homes just limits to an extent. But it means something. So we're trying to put together, actually with my son's school, a field trip with some of the kids at his school to come and see the work. Because I think that so much gets, kids get forgotten about a lot of the times in this world. And I feel like it is our job, especially as a parent, that I want to pour back into the youth and give them the confidence and also understanding with being honest of how hard this is. Because I never romanticized this choice that I made.
That's a good thing,
Because
for sure.
it's hard. There are bills that go unpaid and days sometimes where I don't eat because this thing. And sometimes it feels like, what am I doing? Is this irresponsible and definitely delusional? And there are the times where I'm like, you
gotta be a little delusional to go in any art.
Oh, you have to be a lot of delusional.
For sure.
You have to be majorly delusional. Majorly.
Yeah. Because I again had this conversation recently. Like, so I don't want to take on any labels because I'm not versed enough to communicate them properly. But I will say that I have been diagnosed cluster B traits.
Okay.
Personality disorder, right? Now,
Okay.
I don't really know if that's true or not.
Okay.
That's what the doctor said, right? This was years ago.
What did that doctor look like?
Come
Okay.
on. So I was going through a hard ass time. That's what it was. And that's how I look at it. I was going through, anybody that's going through a hard time, you kind of crash out a little bit.
Yeah.
So you can say anybody got this or that. Now I'm saying that to say I might have some hypomania.
Okay.
Right? I've talked to a therapist about that before. Now I'm saying that because I think hypomania is a superpower. Because you got to be delusional to really chase some of these dreams and really resilient and really hard-headed to stay up for 4 days straight, creating, building something. Right now, I think where the other side of that is like the follow-through.
Yeah.
When you're not having that flight of thoughts and
surrender,
energy. And right? So I think for me, that's where I've gotten really good. And that's kind of noticing and the depressive, I get depressed, right? And I have to ride out the highs and the lows of that, but I've learned, and I'll say this, I have to, well, I'll say this individual, he's a judge, right? He said I kind of reminded him of a duck. And at first I was a little offended.
Of a duck?
What kind of duck you talking about? You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know. But this is what he said. He said, because you're so graceful on top of the water.
Wow.
But really your feet are going crazy
I actually
underneath.
like that comparison.
Right.
Yeah.
I've mastered being extremely calm under pressure, being anxious, being depressed, being angry, and you would never know. Now, given a little bit, you know, I'm military, I've had to do certain things, so I had to stay in a space where I can't expose myself and be too vulnerable, so I have to put on this armor, but I also understand that having that, being able to hold your composure in a lot of those situations, it pays off in the long run. Now, I'm saying that from an artistic standpoint, is that there's a lot, like to your point, there's highs and lows with this thing.
Yes.
Money and pressure and promises and all that.
And just the emotions of creating. 1 minute,
Yes.
I love what I'm doing. The next minute, I'm like, this is awful. I hate it.
Yes.
Happens every time.
Yes.
Every time.
So let me ask you this, because I don't know. How do you get into a museum? How does that work?
Some of it's luck. Some of it's hard work. Some of it's the people you know. I mean, I've been collected by a museum before. I would like it to be here in Cleveland. Okay. That's a big one for me, but that's just because I've spent so much time here. Mm-hmm. It's being watched. That happens a lot. It also depends on how many shows you've done. It varies.
Okay. Okay.
I have nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Other than just doing the work.
Okay. That is a very uncertain space to live in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like being
But that's a creative. To a degree, there's uncertainty. Nothing is promised. Even when you work the hardest, things might not just work the way that you envision them to work. I think I've gotten really good at pivoting and surrendering. There has to be a certain level of surrendering when it comes to this, because there are artists that have been doing this way less time than me that are to a degree in certain places.
I just think I'm not biased at all, and I just want you to know that. Like, I think you're an incredible artist.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
For sure.
I tell people all the time, like, I'm like, I'm going to see my friend Lauren, right? And I'm like, she's one of them artists, right? Like, and unfortunately, again, all these conversations because I talked to my guy who's also an artist. It's like, unfortunately, people don't see the value all the time until you're Basquiat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't appreciated as he should have been in the time that he was around. And I'm saying that to say to you, like, I mean, the people who see your work are like, they're what? Like, what am I trying to say? You have had a R&B singer.
For sure, many.
Like, huge names.
Yes.
Purchase and view your work and things like that. So it's
cool.
You're like the girl, you know what I mean? The woman.
Okay.
That's you. Don't do me. You know what I'm trying to say. The work is the thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
So
what I'm saying is,
I'm definitely in places where there's power.
Yeah. I'm
definitely in places where there's influence. It is, to a degree, it's helpful for my career to be in those places. I think I don't make too much of an emphasis on that because that doesn't necessarily aid to longevity within this career. Okay. And I think creating more of a team around you, whether that's not necessarily management or representation, I think that's really what I'm leaning into more. And what I love about this show is that it's also supported by my buddy's new program, I guess you could say, Offset Midwest, that he started with another friend, Amanda King, and who's doing all the curation of the show. But Antoine and I have talked for years. Like, he's been one of those like staple people within my art career for sure we've gone toe to toe together where like there's been disagreements. He has really challenged me on certain things. He's also been a person that has seen stuff before I did about certain people I had around me. But I think having more artists where we can hold each other accountable, but also like elevate one another and
100%.
encourage one another.
Yeah.
I feel like that is the thing that is going to get me to where I need to go.
Understood.
Because at least for me, as someone that is also autistic and a single parent, I need physical support.
Yeah.
Like I will be my cheerleader.
Yeah.
Any day of the week. But I also know that physically I'll reach a capacity.
Yeah.
And what I'm creating and what is being created around me right now is more about the physical support.
Yeah.
And also financial support. I mean, they helped me pay my rent a couple months ago when I couldn't pay my rent because I was working on the show. Like that is so meaningful.
Absolutely.
And necessary because there's so many great artists out there that just like can't pay their bills, but they have so much to say.
Yes.
And they just need people to believe in them
100%.
and take that risk with them and be a little delusional with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
really, really great. Some people with fame and visibility that I genuinely really respect. And I love that I get to have conversations about my work with them. But also like the thing that really keeps me moving forward are these people around me that like have really supported me.
So, 2 last things for you.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of work. Like your
Yeah.
body of work is
Yeah.
massive. After this is all done and you rest, you kind of shared something with me earlier.
Yeah. Will this be my last show?
Yes. Will it?
I don't know. I go back and forth all the time. I do think that I'm someone that is, I'm sensitive and deeply emotional. And I used to be told that those were not great things. But I think that it is the thing that allows me to connect with people. Yeah. I'm curious about people. And I want to lead with kindness. That those connections are really great. But I do think that there is just, this world is so transactional, and that puts such an icky feeling in my stomach. Yeah. And of course I have bills to pay, and of course this is my language. I think that I'm trying to, every time that I do a show and anytime I do a piece, figure out what is really going to work for me and how I want to take the next step forward. I don't know. I think there's so much uncertainty in our world right now too. And I'm also shadow banned because I talk about things that need to be addressed in our world. I'm very vocal. I don't want to be someone that's a coward, especially when there are things that are greater than me happening. And even though my voice is just a small little thing, it's still necessary. Yeah. So there's just a lot of censorship, and I don't know. I'm in an in-between phase, but I'm not making any like firm decisions about it. Yeah. I am surrendering to that. I'm praying very specifically about things that I need clarity on, especially when it comes to taking the next steps forward. But yeah, I'm taking it a day at a time. But it has been something that I've thought about. Like, is this how I want to? Yes, I will always be creating, but is this the main focus? Like, is this what is being called for me right now at this point in time?
So the last thing I would say is, where can people find you, right? Your work, all of those beautiful things and things that you create. And I would love to, do a audio version of this that people can, take with them everywhere they go, right? Like give them more access. But yeah, so please just let us know where to find you and all of the things that you may have coming up.
Got a couple murals coming up. I'm doing one in Cincinnati in a couple weeks. It's my first 6-story building. I'm terrified of heights, but I also like doing shit that scares me.
That's dope.
It is very cool. I'm very scared. Doing that in 2 weeks. My show opens on Saturday from 6 to 9 here in Cleveland. What else do I have going on? Murals in the show is what I can handle right now. Yeah. I've also been doing a thing where I only do 3 shows a year. I like it that way. Okay. This work is really time consuming, and it has forced me to slow down, which is so necessary. But yeah, and then Instagram, Lauren M. Pearce. Okay. Where you find me.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Thank you. Me too.
Thank you.
I love you, my friend.
Love you too.
But y'all, my ass is numb.
Oh yeah, low key. I was like, oh, we need some pillows, bro.
Don't lose your soul, busy changing up. Don't do a thing without praying some. Don't lose your soul, busy changing up. Don't do a thing without praying some. Is anger and lust really demons? I hope so. For the sake of my brain, I need something to blame, cause I'm in pain. Or am I a heathen, rotten, ambitious and grieving? Jeff keep pointing at Jesus, but goddamn all this bleeding, my heart is cut into pieces. Too many people to trust, two is too many, they likely to harbor their semen